tal, chavales? ¿Cómo estáis? Welcome back to another... Oh my gosh, I'm hitting everything here. Welcome back to another live stream on painting stuff at Rust the Wars. And today we have the adventurer that you guys chose in the stream from yesterday. So you can see he's a little special. He has this lamp hanging over here. Let me just get a better close-up for that. Let's zoom in. He has a conquistador type of helmet, which we call a morion, and he has some stuff here and there that make it quite interesting as a miniature. Once again, the main area, the main focus area that we're gonna have to work on is probably this small lamp that is hanging from the back, because that is going to give it the personality, and we're gonna see how we can do a nice OSL using just that. So without further ado, let's start with it. Beneath the flagstone, Jesus, you will be getting a divorce at this rate. Believe me, I don't. Because we work. I mean, teachers do have things to do at night. So my wife is doing her own thing. I've done my own thing, and now I'm doing another thing. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna take my headphones off. I think the music volume today is okay. And then just maybe pop it up a little bit. Let me see if I can find... There, I think that's okay now. So let's get to it. Are you married beneath the flagstones, or are you not? Tell me, how is life being, you know, a miniature freak, having all those things that you are collecting and whatnot, and your wife probably doesn't understand very well, because she's like, what the heck is even going on? But as we said before, okay, as we said all the times, if you ladies would like to have somebody that is not gonna cheat on you, well, the best way is to actually have somebody that has a hobby that is so time consuming, so expensive, that they are probably not thinking about anything else but just doing that hobby. Okay, fishing is one of them, painting miniatures is another one, for instance. And well, let's start with this guy. But I just noticed that, unbeknownst to me, I forgot my water at the other room. So just give me a second, because I'm gonna get it in just 30 seconds. Alright, and we're back. Well, now I have my water right here in front of me. I have my brushes, and I have all these things, and it all has to boil down to figuring out how to paint this guy. So we have a nice OSL, something that, you know, show us that effect that is going to be showing all these light areas around him. But also we need to figure out what uniform are we going to use. Now remember, the witch hunter that we did an OSL previously, we ended up painting him as a Sterland, this guy over here. So Sterland has these provincial colors, which are yellow and white, unless you are the patrol of the River Styr, which is white and green. But this guy looks, I think, in my opinion, it looks quite nice with those colors. It actually fits the narrative, it's not too strident. It makes it look within the realm of reality of what an OSL will look like. And I have a few things to tell you about this guy before we decide what province are we gonna paint him. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna give you a few options here. Okay, so you can choose from those. I'm gonna start the poll, and before I start even painting anything, we need to figure out what it's gonna be. What province of the empire, okay, of the empire should we paint him? Should I paint him like? Okay, I'm gonna give you some examples. Nordland and Talabheim, and what about add option Stirland we already did. So Solent, which is a province that doesn't exist anymore, and one more. How about something? What have we could do red and green. Hawkland, but I'm not sure if I want to do red and well, let's do that. Hawkland. Okay, so you got a few minutes to choose, and I think it's going to be right now is only just you beneath the flagstone. So whatever you choose right now is probably gonna be the thing that is gonna stick until I start painting things. So as I was saying, there are a few things I want to discuss about this guy, because every time that I do one of these videos, I like thinking about it in, you know, in more terms than just the miniature. The miniature is a means to a story, and the means to a story here has a lot of information that I would like to convey when I paint it, okay? If it makes any sense of what I'm saying right here. So the means of a story here is that this guy is carrying a lamp, and to be honest, maybe there are more miniatures out there like this one, but for me is the first one that I see carrying a light like that, which is quite ingenious, but might be telling the story. Like, you know, why is he carrying a light like that? Most people will be carrying it on a hand. Why would someone carry a lamp above and behind them instead of just simply holding it? I mean, he has two weapons. That might be one of his excuses, but is it like because he keeps both hands free and he can use those to wield two weapons? Or is because it can eliminate the road without occupying the sword hand? And maybe, you know, because you might be a right-handed and you would rather have that hand, your preferable hand, to wield something to kill the monsters? Or is it because it makes him visible to companions? I mean, he might not be the main character carrying light, but it's just something that will say, hey, that's one of our allies in here. Or is it because wherever he's going, is it maybe because he's trying to discourage animals or attract worse things than animals? Or is it because, I don't know, there are many answers here. Preventing his own body from blocking the light as well, because, you know, carrying it up here might be helping others to see. Let me just focus on that. Might be able to make others see around as well, and instead of holding it here, which will create shadows for all those people behind him, that will help the party to see along with him. Or I don't know, maybe it's a walking beacon. Maybe it's something that they gave him to do to attract the monsters, and he's basically, you know, one of those people that, well, he's gonna die anyway, so we could use him for just that. Okay, and you tell me, okay, why will somebody carry a lamp like that in a dungeon or in a forest or in a dark castle or something like that? What do you guys think? And remember, at the end of the day, light represents several things. It can represent safety, civilization, Sigmar's protection, the limits of human knowledge, I don't know, very philosophical stuff, the boundary between the road and the wilderness, because basically if you keep to the road, this is gonna show the road, and then everything else whatever. And forests in Warhammer Fantasy are super scary places, full of things that you don't want to even encounter, you know, on daylight, much less at night. Or is it just, you know, showing the middle finger to monsters and death, chaos, all those fantastic things that you can find in an adventure? Because in Warhammer, a lantern does not prove that you are safe. It just merely allows you, allows you to see what is, well, sometimes what is about to kill you. So, anyways, let's see. Let me see the votes, if I can see the votes. So no votes yet. Come on, I want to see some things. But perhaps Norland, classic Greek adventurer. Luke or Hawkland if you want more color and contrast. Norland, if I'm not mistaken, is blue and yellow. And then we have also Hawkland is green and red. I'm talking out of memory right now, okay? And I don't have my color schemes in front. But what I'm gonna do, okay, if you don't mind, I'm gonna research that. Just give me a second and let me find those, okay? Because I know there was this Warhammer Empire colors, let's see. And then yes, this is the one that I was looking for, from 4th edition. It's in Reddit, and I think I can show you this. Just give me a second if this wants to go back to where I want to be. Okay, so if I go in here, and hopefully there is not gonna be echo, okay, like yesterday. Hopefully we're gonna be working with this properly. Okay, show my screen here. And then I go window capture, and let me just do things because I have to do click clack click clack click clack here, and then find this one, boom, and I think we can see it now. Un segundito. Okay, tell me if there is something weird going on with the sound, please. Is there everything correct? Hello, Dragon Martin. Tonight I can't follow for long. Tomorrow a lot of work. Great miniature though. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Don't worry. If just by being here is great. So thank you for doing that. All right. So we have here, as you can see, we have. Let me just. You probably guys cannot see all of it, so I need to probably. Well, you can see most of it. You can see at least the colors in general. So you can see that we have Nordland. Nordland is down at the bottom to the left, and it's just as I said, is blue and yellow. And then we have Hogland, or maybe you want something else, something a little bit different, like Ostermark with the purple and yellow will be quite striking, but those are the show-offs of, like, you know, we have money and whatnot. And I don't know, just tell me what you guys would like to have. Solent is not here, so I need to do a little bit extra research. Let's see how Solent will look like. Solent called like that because of the river Sol, and it's one of the lost. Solent will be yellow and white. Okay, there we are. So it's yellow and white from what I have here. And there was I think they were defeated in somewhere in the year, oh, here it says so, in the year 1707, when an orc invasion led by Gorbat Ironclaw swept out of Blackfire Pass and devastated the region. Its lands have been absorbed by Wissenland, the white ones, okay, and the surviving nobles have largely fled to Averland. So what choices do we have? Okay, I'm gonna give you just 1 minute, but I see Solent here, which is yellow and white. Okay, what do you guys say? Being that high helps eliminate a large surroundings for the group. Okay, in the poll I chose Solent because of the sun, of course. Vale, bueno, pues podemos hacer Solent, and that's a very good look. That ties with the whole thing. So we could do that dirty white. Let me go to my main painting camera. We could do dirty white, some yellow, and then we're gonna paint this with a faint color, and maybe we can do it in a different color. Instead of doing you know, yellow and oranges, we can do it in a blue hue, something like that, which will give us a little bit of contrast, and we can try something that looks like, you know, magical a little bit, maybe like a gas kind of lamp, but it wouldn't make sense in this setting unless you have some magic involved. Okay, well, Solent it is then. Vale, because beneath the flagstones, what do you say? Norland, Solent, Hogland? Please give us something. Vote on the poll so I can show that actually I listen to my viewers and I don't just do whatever I want. I'm getting my brushes ready so I can now decide what is going to be the first color. A ver qué tenemos por aquí. And also I'm gonna need my glasses, and I'm gonna need my bottle of water that I didn't bring with me. Fantastico. So I'm gonna speak un poquito en romano. Mary, poți să-mi aduci, te rog, sticla de apă și mie? Mulțumesc. So I'm gonna get water. Norland and Solent. This is not working. We have a 50-50 roll here. Okay, so Norland and Solent. Should I go with either one or just 50-50? Let me get here. All right, let's see. A ver. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 is gonna be Norland, and merci. And 4, 5, 6 is gonna be Solent. How does it sound like? Okay, so I'm gonna do the trick here. Let's see. Okay, Google, roll a d6. Let's see if it works. It used to work. Let's see if it works. 4. Okay, so it's a 4, so it's gonna be Solent. It used to have an animation. It was very cool when it used to do that, but nowadays it's just that. So Solent it is, my dear friends. We're gonna paint it like that. 6-7, 6-7, not 50-50. It's 6-7. So Solent it is. Let's go. Let's paint him like Solent. Okay, now strategically speaking, I have to paint something in yellow and I have to paint something in off-white. Now I have a very good option here because this has no texture. This leg over here we could use that to paint it in white, and then we'll get, by doing that, it will get the nuance of this light that I'm probably gonna do with a off blue, something, or very, very light blue, okay? So it looks like slightly different, so we don't get too many warm colors here, like a cold type of light. And then we're gonna paint this with yellow, and this bottom of the leg, we're gonna leave it also in white. Then we have the boots. Of course, there is a knife here, there is another knife here, and there is something strange here going on, because I see, I'm pretty sure you guys can see it as well, he has a bag, some pouches, something here that looks like a map or some kind of small bag or something like that. And then he has a book, and then this thing that I have no idea what it is, but we will figure out something. Let me just get my glasses because I'm probably gonna need that. Chac, chac, a ver qué tenemos. Okay, so it looks to me like he's carrying something like a candle that is melted. Probably is a print error, a printing error. Maybe he was wearing 2 sticks, okay, and it didn't survive the trip to here, but it matter not. We can paint it like a candle or something like that. And he's also wearing that uniform here, so we can paint these areas, the cut areas, with yellow, and then we are going to paint this with just white. So we're gonna do a quarter uniform that is gonna be yellow over here, yellow over here, white, white, and then here this is gonna be white. We have also the armor and the pouches and whatnot. So I'm gonna start probably by painting the whole clothing, the whole armor and everything, and then that's where I'm gonna start working with painting the colors here. All right, so let's get to the metallics. Vamos a usar, as usual, we're gonna use the, what is it? ¿Dónde estás? ¿Dónde estás? Where are you? Here he is. Okay, dark steel. Very simple. As usual, I'm just gonna stick to the palette, the very limited palette that I have here, just to prove once again the point that you do not need 1,000 million colors. You don't need a lot of colors. You just need the key colors that you're gonna use over and over again, and you get used to them, and then you know how they work, and you don't have to go through the learning curve of learning everything again. Vamos a pintar la armadura. He's just wearing a chest piece over here, and that Morion helmet. The Morion helmet is very interesting because it's one of those pieces of equipment that started to develop in Europe when armies stopped being levies for, you know, from people working on the fields or whatever. You just needed some soldiers. You will get them just from the people working in the fields, and they might be doing some training on a yearly basis, just learning how to shoot bows or learning how to work in a formation. But this changed when we started having armies that were professional soldiers, and the professional soldiers needed to be equipped. And then all of a sudden, it's not like bring your own pike and shot. You will make those en masse for the soldiers, and this was very prevalent, I think, during the 15th century, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, because my history might be a little bit off. And the Spaniards, the conquistadors, were using this prevalently back then. So it is very recognizable for people who actually study those historical periods where the Spaniards were just basically running all over America and getting people to convert to Christianity, and also getting gold and whatnot. And I'm gonna be a little bit controversial here, but there is a huge black legend about what my ancestors did. Well, not really my ancestors. My ancestors stayed in Spain. Okay? My ancestors didn't go anywhere. That's why I'm here and why I have a Spanish passport. If my ancestors would have gone anywhere, I would probably be speaking a different accent of Spanish, and I would probably have a different passport, like from Mexico or Peru or something like that. So the people from my country that actually went into the Americas were people who just didn't have anything to do in Europe anymore. They wanted some adventure. They wanted the promise of getting rich fast, you know, those things that everybody likes. It was like the crypto back then. Being a conquistador was like being a crypto bro nowadays, okay? You just try to make money and make it fast, although risky. because going to a new continent with people who don't speak your language, don't understand your culture, don't understand who you are, and trying to convince them to let you in, it's not an easy endeavor if you look at it from the perspective of these guys. So it's basically one of the defining factors of who these people were. That helmet and the sheer guts that you have to do to go across an ocean when somebody barely did that less than 50 years ago. Bueno, pues este tío, that he looks like a conquistador, is carrying the light on over his shoulder. So what kind of things is he trying to fend off or see in a dungeon? That's a good question. Because who is he? Why is he doing this? What happened for him to be carrying the lamp? As I said before, is he somebody that is basically given the lamp because, well, he's gonna die anyways, so if he's the only one attracting the monsters, that's fine, we can deal with that? Or is he somebody that has this job because he's so badass that he can deal with monsters targeting him? He's a beacon in the dark. Just imagine if you are the thing with the most light in a place where it's only darkness, you're gonna be super noticeable. You're gonna be the main target. So you have to be very confident on your skills to do this. Or maybe you lost the bet. Or maybe you dragged the short straw when they were choosing who was the lamp carrier, and that's how you get this. In Warhammer Quest, usually the guy carrying the lamp is the barbarian because he's just crazy, okay? But in this case, he doesn't look like a very crazy guy to me, unless I paint him like that. We'll see what happens when I paint the eyes, if something's gonna happen. That's gonna decide a lot of the narrative for this, isn't it? Would you be the one carrying the lamp if you were in a party of 4, or would you give it to somebody else? What do you guys say? I don't know, I like my light close by, you know? You never know. You give it to the halfling and the halfling might end up running away with it, and then you are screwed basically. Okay, now that we have the metals, let me just check that I have everything that needed to be painted. This small side of this knife in that thing. That's a last resort weapon if I ever seen one, okay? You go from, yeah, bad plan, okay, not a very good plan, and this is, okay, we are full bar right now. Okay, he's a Spanish conquistador, you know, who, those who killed the Aztecs. Okay, now, here, the Aztecs. The Aztecs were not killed mostly by Spaniards. They were killed by the Tolmecas and other, I think the Tolmecas is the name, and other Native Americans that were living alongside the Aztecs. The Aztecs were a very brutal empire that lasted around 100 and something years, and they were doing sacrificial rituals where they would basically pull the heart out of those people's chests. And when the Spaniards came there, and they forged these alliances, because Cortés, he's quite a figure. He's an infamous figure, but he was a very good diplomat. He figured out how to convince these people to fight alongside him, not without fighting, because there were some fights along the way for that, but he actually convinced the locals to side with him. And these people were up to the brim of dealing with the Aztecs. So when the Aztecs faced this force of nature that was coming their way, it was just a few Spaniards, a few of them, and a huge army of Native Americans that had enough. So, been watching too much Tango and Cash. I don't know, man. I don't know. I know the movie. I don't remember any mention to the Aztecs. All right, let's go here. And this is gonna be, as I said, yellow. Let's go with plain yellow, nothing done to it. Then we will decide how we're gonna work with it. Today I'm not doing the pre-wash with magenta because I'm gonna paint him dark in some areas, so it needs not to be too bright or to be, I don't know, too colorful in that sense. So this is gonna do the job. Oh, you're reading a book about Cortez. Yeah, that guy, eh? He burned the ships and basically said to everybody, well, guess we're staying. I guess we are not going anywhere. And one of the most interesting things that I learned about him lately is that the madmen, in order to get black powder for the weapons, these guys went down a volcano to get sulfur. Down a live volcano to get enough sulfur so they could make black powder for their guns. Those people were resourceful in a sense that we cannot even fathom nowadays. It's resourceful, relentless, and ruthless all at once. Because once you make the decision to stay in a place and you're not moving from that place and you're basically saying, well, screw it, that's it, we are not going anywhere, we just need to figure this out. That's the way that we have done a lot of things in general civilization. It's like, well, I guess this is what it is. Or as they say in Japanese, shitaka ga nai. There is no other answer. There's no other way. It is what it is. Just deal with it, okay? And we have, mostly in teaching, we talk about resilience all the time for our kids and whatnot, but I don't know if we are actually teaching it the right way in some cases, because we find the path of least resistance. I'm finding the path of least resistance when I'm painting, by the way. I'm cheating myself out of doing a lot of work by doing the way I do it. But one thing is being resourceful and smart, and another thing is being just plain lazy. And well, it is what it is. So let me see what you guys are writing here. Oh, so full bar, it's coming from that. I thought that it was something from World War II, when soldiers basically needed to tell what the situation was, and the acronym was you know, just good enough to explain what it was, because, you know, effed up beyond recognition, beyond all recognition is self-explanatory, isn't it? So, all right, we have the base yellow already. Now, how are we gonna do the white? The white is one of those difficult things to deal with. I have an option here which is using, of course, Drakenhof Nightshade, and I'm tempted on doing that, but at the same time, I would like to give it a more dirty appearance, not that bluish nice tinge. So I'm gonna try to do black. Let me see if I can find it. Black. Okay. I'm gonna do black. But black is super powerful, and this might or may not work, and we could go FUBAR on this case. So a little bit of my black, okay, quick gen. That's the brush. Let's wet the brush so we get this very clear wash, and I'm gonna go and just give it a hint here. Let's see if it works. Also, it's gonna help me to create the shadows where I want them to be. A ver. Let's see. At least to recognize the places where the shadows are at. Oh, there's a fly being annoying. Fantastic. Why not? Just do your job. Okay. Vamos a ver. Let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. I remember watching Tango Cash not so long ago. Last time I watched it. I don't know where I watched it. I think it was Netflix. I was watching all 90s movies. And those were fun stuff, man. It was a brainless type of movie, but it was just plain fun. You know, you didn't leave the cinema thinking, oh wow, I need to think about the implications of this and that. No, it was just, these are the bad guys, these are the good guys. The good guys are just gonna destroy the bad guys. It's gonna take a while. They're gonna get the girl, and they're gonna go, you know, the usual final scene where you see the the ambulance and somebody's wearing one of those shiny blankets made of like aluminum foil, and everybody's like high fives, and the bad guy has been killed in the most horrendous way you can imagine, because that's poetic, and that was the moral of a story. Don't do bad things, because then you get killed in the most horrific way. Hello David, bonsoir, ça va? So those movies are where the fun was at. And now, okay, I understand that sometimes you just need a moral that is a little bit deeper and you have to see the gray side of things, but can we just get some, you know, mindless popcorn movies like that every now and then, where, I don't know, and everything feels like it's a remake of a remake of a remake. So yeah, take your brain out, please. Don't preach to me, okay? Not anymore. I preach for a living. I honestly do. I teach values and rules, and you know how to maintain our civilization for the new generation. I just want to go see somebody that is buff and kicks ass. That's it. Like, you know, I came here to chew gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of gum. That's all I want. Nothing else. Bueno, vamos a ponernos con las botas. Now, because I'm gonna use this white here, I don't want to paint the boots black. Not today. I wanna paint them brown. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna use a snakebite leather. But after I do the snakebite leather, because I really like how the fabric turned out in Moonface, I'm gonna do somewhat like a pattern on the leather before I move on to darken it later, okay? But that's my plan right now. It's something that will eventually happen as soon as we get there. Now we'll start, snakebite leather. Here we are, boom. When is the new He-Man movie coming? It actually looks good. It looks legit. It looks like they look at the source material and they didn't try to do anything too stupid or too difficult or too different from what it is like. Because I remember, there was this director, I think his name was Uwe Boll, written U-W-E, and Boll I think is B-O-L and nothing else, who was infamously bad, because his movies, he always got the deals with movies to get a franchise from a video game and just make a movie, like Resident Evil kind of thing, you know, all those, and the movies were so freaking bad, but they were, you know, so bad that this guy will say to the critics, whenever the critics will just give him some grief, he will say, okay, if you don't like the movie, come box me, okay? And some of them made a huge mistake, which is box him, because Uwe Boll might not be very good at movies, but man, he could punch. And there are videos of him punching the critics and basically proving his point, that is like, I don't care what you say, if I can't punch you, okay, you're gonna measure your words. Movies were awful though. So yeah, this new He-Man movie, I hope that is not that type of movie, that you get a franchise that everybody from that era, the 80s, will love to see properly done, and then you make a complete travesty of a movie. The Dolph Lundgren one, it wasn't the best, but if you watch it nowadays with that nostalgia factor glasses, you know, it's okay. I guess I liked it as an older person, and as a younger person I just simply love it. But I remember very clearly, not succinctly, when as I was maybe 14, 15 years old, and the movie for Street Fighter came out, and it was like, oh my god, it's Van Damme and Street Fighter. Yes, please. And we went to watch that movie to the cinema, and then we see that the main character is not Ryu, and it's not Ken, it's Guile. Okay, alright, okay, fine, I'll watch it anyways. And we just left with this bittersweet flavor, because Dalsim was, I don't know, it was not Dalsim. Blanca was, it was such a weird thing. And what I might have loved being, 9 years old, just living like, wow, that was pretty cool. When I was a little bit older and I had played the video game and I knew the franchise and I knew the characters and I knew who was what in that, I left that place and I was like, what the heck was even that? My friend at that time, Alejandro Sela, he was with me and we both were like, we didn't know what to say to each other. We were trying to save what we had just witnesses, and it was an absolute train wreck of what a movie about Street Fighter should have been. So, is the new He-Man movie gonna be any good? I really hope so. I really hope so, because when you do good things about those franchises, what happens is immediate profit for these companies. Because you as a parent, you will go watch the movie, bring your kids because you want them to watch something that you love as a kid, and if it's a good movie, you will like it as a parent, and your kids will notice that you liked it. And by noticing that you like it and you felt like it's being respectful to the story and the lore and whatever you really loved about that, they will start saying, okay, if my dad likes this, I guess it's cool. It's a weird thing. If they feel you're disappointed at it, unless they are already cynical teenagers, they will say, yeah, what happened? Is it any good, Dad? And you will probably show in your face, yeah, it sucked. And by doing this, by making the franchise once again fresh and making it something that parent and son or parent and daughter can share, boom, you make profit. Because your father is gonna buy stuff for you because you now like it. And also because he likes it. But anyways, what I'm trying to say here is, if you're respectful to what fans like, you will always make money. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And that companies get it consistently wrong sometimes boggles the mind. Because you can basically hire somebody from a forum, from a website, as a consultant, and they will tell you, yeah, that's not correct, or that sucks, okay? And I think that's one of the problems that, for instance, Henry Cavill had with The Witcher. The Witcher, as it is, if you read the books, if you play the video games, although the video games are not canon, but if you read the books and you play the video games, you watch The Witcher, and the first season was alright. It was similar to certain things in the books. It was alright. But some things already just, that were like scratching you in your brain. You were like, what is the freaking thing with the Nilfgaard armor that looks like the top of a penis? That was stupid, okay? Or what is going on with certain characters that do not look at all like they look in the video game? What is happening here? Because Jennifer, she was hot, but Jennifer in the video game, she's freaking gorgeous, okay? Or Siri, also she's freaking gorgeous in the video game, but now in the series she's fine, but back then she was a child, so it makes sense. But what is the other one? The red-headed one? Oh my god, she was my crush in the game. I forgot her name. Okay, he just done a new film in the Grey, Guy Ritchie movie. Okay, Guy Ritchie, I love Guy Ritchie movies. They are like, that's the kind of movie I want to watch, okay? With funny characters. Tris Marigold, thank you, Danny. Tris Marigold, you watch the video game, you watch the TV series, and Tris Marigold is like super hot, and sorry, not for me. I'm sorry. And that gets my suspension of disbelief, because the female wizards in the video game and in the books, they use a lot of magic just to look right, just to look super hot, at the expense of not having children. But nah, nah, I'm sorry if that's what you get for using magic, okay? Nah, hard pass on my side. Sorry. So that's my pet peeve with this. All right, here we are now. We already have some of the base colors, and now I still feel like we need to do something about this. This is a dirty black. I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do it. I think I have to do it. Should I do it? I'm gonna do it, right? Drakenhof Nightshade. He's gonna save the night now. Alright. Yesterday I played the music, I think, too loud because I was rewatching the video today and I was finding it uncomfortable to listen to what I was saying. So if you guys can give me some feedback, I need to figure out because my meter here on the volume, it's right now around, I would say the bottom is minus 42 decibels, but I don't know how it sounds because if I wear my headphones, I'm gonna be fried. It's so hot. So is it okay? Is my voice clear? You can hear everything, but you still can get a hint of the music beneath it. I made a new compilation of music, which is a mixture between, you will hear some kind of Celtic, which is based in Asturian folk music, by the way, the place where I'm from. And yes, in Asturias we listened, and our traditional music sounds very similar to, let's say, Irish music in some cases, not all of them. Now the new folk is kind of a little bit too much Celtic on that sense, but we are bagpipes, we are drums, and we are castanets and things like that. So it's very different to what people usually will say that is Spanish music. Very different. Galicia and Asturias, northern Spain, northwest Spain, are very, 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 very different to what you will expect from most people thinking of that. Oh, that's a Spanish music. Yeah, you wouldn't believe how it is. Well, now you're listening to something similar to it. So let me know, please. Okay, now before I paint the face, I'm gonna darken it on this side and this side only, because that side is the one that is not gonna be hit by the OSL. And I'm gonna darken here as well. And let me see, the light is gonna come this way, so we need to darken in here as well. We need to be careful now on how we approach this to make sure that the light sells itself as light. So Drakenhof Nightshade is gonna give me that undertone that is gonna darken already before I even do anything to it. There we go. Okay. A little bit here. What a useful paint this is, really. What a useful paint this is. Tristras. Tristras. If you could get any franchise, make a TV series, a whole TV series out of it, from top to bottom, being respectful of the lore, being respectful of the feelings that you got when you were reading the books or reading the comics or something like that, which one will it be and why? And for me, my answer, if you just tell me, Miguel, you have right now, just choose one. I think I will do Felix and Gotrek, honestly. The whole thing. The whole thing, okay? Like 7-8 seasons of chapters, episodes, and whatnot. Seeing them doing all the things that they do in the books. I think I will love that. Gotrek and Felix for sure. If I could choose another one right now, I mean, I'm quite happy how Castlevania actually turned out to be. I was at the beginning, I was like, the animation, you know, it's not really my thing. But then, a few chapters in, when they actually got the pace up, and probably somebody said, you know what, we're gonna give you money to make this and make it right. Then yes, when they started playing Vampire Killer, which is the main theme from Castlevania, and the animation just took off and they started doing very cool stuff, I was like, okay, now we're talking. Thank you, this is good. Now we're doing it right. So if they get to be respectful like that with whatever they are doing, I will love to see a Gotrek and Felix, you know, the whole series of it. I will love that. What about you guys? Of course, 40k. I would love to see Horus Heresy. the whole thing fold out. That, I think that thing will sell, but you need characters for ages. And let me see what other things. The Chronicles of Belgarath, maybe that will be another one that I would love to see. This is one of those books, fantasy books. If I read it now, probably wouldn't be that great for me. But back then, when I read it the first time, I was young, and I was like 17, 16, and I really enjoyed it. So I would love to see that as well. Okay, now we have more or less the light areas. Okay, let's see. I need to paint the flesh, and then I need to do all the silly highlights and whatnot. Let's see. Vamos a hacer la carne primero. Let's do the flesh first. Vivid flesh. And let's change the camera so it looks like other things as well. Vamos allá. Vivid flesh. Surprisingly good color for this. And I tried all the different fleshes that we had. Illiman flesh, Dark Oath flesh. And this one just works. I think it works better than any of those. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's an awful color. It's like too orangish. Nah, man. No. Don't trust your gut feeling here. The gut feeling was absolutely wrong. It works. Oh my god. I just saw something. He has monocles. Look at that. Not monocles, sorry. He has some small lenses. So he's wearing glasses. I didn't see that before starting painting. I can't see for my life. So he's wearing glasses. Okay, that's gonna be an interesting touch. And then the story changes altogether. Because this guy has survived things. You don't get to my age without having survived things. And that's when you start using glasses. And that's why he's wearing a book. Well, he's carrying a book in the back. So, okay. Who is this guy? What is he supposed to be doing here? And then this is where we're getting to things, okay? Like before, when we were discussing about the conquistadors and the different perspectives that we have about things. Me as a Spaniard, obviously I'm biased, obviously. There is no denying that. But I also know that a lot of things that we consider nowadays absolutely awful. Back then, they were the meat and potatoes of life, okay? So, this guy... What is he? Is he an explorer? And he's just taking notes of elven ruins, dwarven strongholds overrun by Skaven. He's just trying to preserve the knowledge of those places? Or is he just looting for the sake of looting? He's just stealing artifacts that people deem important enough to put them in certain ritualistic places, like tombs or temples or things like that. And his excuse is that he's preserving knowledge whilst making a buck for it. But those who made those places might not be agreeing exactly with what he's doing. I wouldn't be if somebody was opening my tomb. Yeah, I'm gonna take this ring for preservation. Yeah, man, that ring, it's a memento of who I was when I was alive. So that's not cool, you know? So who might this guy be? Is he somebody that has been hired to go and clean the sewers? And he's getting paid jack because nobody believes that there are huge Skaven, huge walking rats, or human-like rats in there. And his job sucks. And on top of that, nobody is paying attention to what he's saying. That they are gnawing at the entrails of the city, and they might as well destroy the whole place. Who is he? Alright, now that we have sketched the main colors, I'm gonna retouch some of the stuff. And we need to do the highlights and some of the small details like this and the stick. And this small thing that he's carrying here that I have no idea what it is, but I can see that I needed to have painted with a little bit of a little bit of snakebite leather. Let's see. Vamos a ponerlo ahí. Just a little bit. Focus, please. Aha, here we are. Here we are. Yes, there is a small... there. Okay, here we are. Here we are. How does it look like? Okay, I think I hit the spot. I hit the spot. Vale. Vamos allá. Uf. Ooh-wee. Let's do some of the highlights. Let's start with the metallics and then I can go back to other stuff. Oh, this is white. No. I need silver. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so the light is gonna be hitting here. Yeah? And we need to go super shiny there. Even if it's not the newest of Morion helmets, we need to go super shiny here, whilst preserving a little bit of the texture. And that's a tricky thing because the light will be obviously also hitting that. But I think I'm gonna leave it like that, even though it doesn't look realistic when I'm gonna do the OSL, because it helps to read the different textures in the helmet. So right now we do that. Now some edge highlight just here, but I'm not going all over the way. I'm just gonna hit like that, and a little bit, just a little bit of highlight here, un poquito, to add some texture. You see, I'm painting some small lines here and there, which I'm probably gonna touch up later when I'm painting with the OSL. Blade is gonna be the same. This is a this is a realistic looking blade. It is not one of those silly huge hero hammer type of blades, so that's fine. I like the others though. I like being big and menacing and, you know, larger than life miniatures like the ones we saw yesterday. And in here as well. Ta-da-da. Okay, there we go. Conquistadors. Can you imagine jumping in a ship with people you don't know and then having to basically become brothers in a foreign land, thousands of miles away from your own house, with no perspective of survival, not knowing what is ahead of you, with the expectation of being able to find something like El Dorado, like those lost cities in the Amazonian jungle. And by the way, now that they're doing LiDAR, which is laser deep penetration radar, that you're shooting at the canopy of the trees in the jungle, and you can see what is underneath that, and they're finding cities and stuff under that. And these conquistadors were trying to find those places because they had heard the rumors that those existed, but when they got there, I think they got like 100 years late, something like that, something ridiculous, and the Mayas were already basically gone. Those cities had disappeared just in time for them not to be able to find them, but they did exist. They did exist. So those civilizations that were thriving in the jungle, which is a freaking difficult place to actually exist because the soil is not good for agriculture, but they designed a system called terra preta, which is black soil, I think in Portuguese. And if you dig on the soil, you will find this small layer of burnt soil, which is basically charcoal or whatnot. And these guys were basically nourishing the soil for them to grow things on the jungle by doing that. They figure out how to exist in a very demanding ecosystem. Hot, humid, full of insects, full of things that will kill you. And on top of that, of course, sicknesses and whatnot. And these guys figure it out, which goes to show that human ingenuity and perseverance are basic traits of what we are. But when the conquistadors got there, the few ones that survived those treks through the jungle, they were like, okay, where are those cities everybody's talking about? There were none. They were gone. They were devoured by the trees. And us, in our hubris, we believe that, well, you know, we're gonna disappear. One day maybe something happens, but everybody will find all our buildings and all the things that we built. Man, if you leave nature for a little while, just a little while, there will be no traces of who you are unless you start like chopping a lot of foliage. Because if you guys have any experience with tending to fields or tending to some property that is in, you know, in nature, and you live in a temperate climate, not to even mention a jungle, a temperate climate, okay, the stuff that will grow in a few months with a little bit of rain and a little bit of sun, it's ridiculous. I cleaned one of my fields a couple of years ago, and I went back a year later and it was already starting to be overgrown. And if you're in the jungle, in the Amazonian jungle, that thing will eat up anything within months. There is nothing left of whatever you built. It's all hidden underneath. All of it. So of course the Spaniards were like, okay, where are these cities? They were there. You just couldn't see them. That was gone. That's crazy. Crazy stuff. Your whole civilization is gone and nobody knew about it because it was eaten up by nature. Can you imagine? So then you go to Warhammer 40k and you hear about Katachan, you know, these worlds full of weird stuff going on in there, and boom, that's it. If there are creatures in those places, that's the least of your problems. They are very feral and very savage animals trying to eat you, but on top of that, the jungle itself will eat you. So that's Amazonian jungle multiplied by 10, I guess. How is it going, guys? Do you like what you're seeing? Okay, it's nothing to write home about right now, but it's going to start being it. And as soon as we start doing this, as soon as we start getting that, it's gonna do the trick. But before that, I want to lock down all the colors basically and make sure that when we highlight, we're gonna highlight on something cool and done. Okay, a ver, vamos ahora, as usual, this thing. Thomas Geoman enjoying the... Okay, don't quote me on many things, okay? Because I do read a lot of stuff and I do watch a lot of stupid things, but sometimes I get the details wrong. So if you can do your own research on whatever I'm saying, that's very wise, honestly. All right, let's see where we are. We're gonna do now those whatchamacallit, the other letter things here and there. We're gonna do like I mean this thing that I'm not really sure, it's like a rolled pouch, maybe it's a tobacco bag or something like that. I'm gonna do this one as well, etc, etc. So the helmet, as I said, it gives you a strong empire and historical angle, okay, because this is one, as I said, associated with early modern soldiers. Mostly this was used during the 16th and 17th century, and it's something that if you're using any fantasy miniatures, you're gonna get immediately pike and shot warfare, you're gonna get conquistadors, you're gonna think about city guards, mercenaries, colonial expeditions, professional soldiers replacing the medieval levies. And the empire fits this narrative very well because they are basically the Holy Roman Empire. And it's a mixture of home and rolly empire and gunpowder and fantasy horror. So if you get all those together, boom, you get the empire. So you can tell that these people, the guys who wrote Warhammer lore, they were history freaks. Some of them were actually history majors or a doctor in history or something like that. I'm not really sure, okay? I'm not really sure which ones they were. Maybe Rick firstly is like that. But this guy is very humble on his clothing. But why does the Empire use like a lot of feathers and slashed sleeves and elaborate helmets in such a dangerous world? Because it doesn't make sense. I tried to talk about this the other day, but it doesn't really make sense. It's something that I always think about. We're talking about a world that is grim dark as it gets. Okay, you go into the woods, you turn the wrong side of the road, and you end up in front of a hearthstone with beastmen. Okay, that's not cool. Why would you be wearing flashy colors in such a situation? As a soldier, maybe it makes sense because you need to know who's in your regiment. But a lot of people wear this type of clothes, and it has, of course, the background from the Lansquenets, the mercenaries from Central Europe in those eras. But at the same time, if you look at the lore, it's like, is it really wise to be wearing any of these? I like Felix, the miniature of Felix and Gotrek, because he's very down to earth on his approach to clothing. Okay, he wears nothing flamboyant. It's the most flamboyant thing that he's wearing is his red Sutherland cape, and that's it. So is it something that you would use as intimidation or fashion? Is it something that, I don't know, why does Warhammer mix medieval monsters and Renaissance firearms? It's a very difficult thing to explain in fantasy, because most fantasy just keeps, you know, it sticks to one theme that is medieval fantasy and they go that way. But here is a little bit further, and I like that. I really like it. Okay, don't get me wrong, but this helmet, does it make him look like an adventurer, a mercenary, a town guard, or a conquistador? And because of these glasses and all those, he looks like somebody that was a soldier and he was retired. Okay, so let me see. I'm reading your comments now. Okay, I'm enjoying painting alone and the painting tips. Thank you. Did the Empire go to Lustria like the Spanish explorers? I know very little about Lustria. And yes, the Empire is the Holy Roman Empire, Breton is the medieval France, or it could be, okay, I know Dragon Martin maybe disagree with me on this, but I think they are also, it's a 100-year war type of medieval levy. And that includes the British and the French, because you get the lone bowmen. Okay, that will be basically the British troops, and then you have the very fancy knights. And I think you guys probably know this, but a lot of the words that English has for fancy food, let me get my camera so you can see me. A lot of the words that you have for fancy food, and I'm talking about poultry, I'm talking about beef, I'm talking about mutton, okay, or lamb. Some of those are not English words, they are French words that were taken by the English to describe foods that they will not have access to, because that's what the noblemen will call those, and the noblemen were actually coming from what nowadays is France. So yeah, by definition the Renaissance armies are better than medieval ones. Well, obviously there is a whole different thing when you have gunpowder and you make plate armor almost obsolete, when you have people shooting arquebuses and basically the equivalent of repeating firearms like they have in the Empire. Wearing an armor is not an asset anymore. It's probably in some cases it's something that doesn't work very well for you. So who went to Lustria? Lustria, we have a mercenary regiment that is called the Pizarro, not Pizarro. Pizarro will be the conquistador. Pizarro's Lost Legion. So let me find it for you whilst this thing is drying. Okay, La Legión Perdida de Pizarro. I remember that very, very well. So I'm gonna go here and just find my... if this thing just wants to work. Pizarro, Lost Legion. And these guys are here. They are trying to emulate, I think, let me just find a picture, Warhammer Wiki. I accept everything, and I'm gonna show you my screen with this. There we go. Okay, so these guys are, go away, thank you. They are some kind of conquistador guys that went to Lustria or Lustria. I'm not really sure how they call it in English, okay? And they says that Lost Legion is all that remains of the expedition sent to Lustria in search of wealth and new commercial opportunities by the merchants of Tobaro. Tobaro being in what nowadays will be Italy in the Warhammer world. These guys who left, see, he sailed to Remas, which is Rome, nowadays in that. So basically they are Italian. And there are some that will say that some of these might be also Stalian, which is Stalia being the Warhammer Fantasy equivalent. Let me just find the picture of the miniatures because it's quite cool. They will be the equivalent of let me see if I can find some cool pictures, something bigger than this. The equivalent, aha, there we go. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can open the box bigger, make it bigger. There we are, these guys, okay? They are the equivalent of Stalia is the equivalent of Spain in the Warhammer world. So these went to Lustria for sure. Their banner is actually showing something like a motif. Do you see the banner over there? It's a motif of the lizardmen from Lustria, and they are wearing morion helmets, and they actually look quite Spanish, to be honest. So there you go, and just a hint. So Lustria, you have the coast of vampire, the vampire coast, I think is in English, La Costa del Vampiro. You have an undead faction that is like basically undead pirates and whatnot. It's a very interesting setting that could be fleshed out a little bit more, but it has many interesting things going on. So Southern America in the equivalent of Southern America in the Warhammer world is what you will imagine, the Amazon, and instead of Native Americans living there, it's lizardmen, with all that it entails. There were very nice articles in the 90s by somebody called Graham Davis, who was making a city in Lustria, and he made all the buildings, and they look like old Aztec buildings, pools where the skinks will be spawning their eggs. Very cool stuff, very cool things. That's when Warhammer was very special, because you will see all of that made with cardboard. There was nothing 3D sculpted, nothing was out of the realm of what any of us will be able to do with some cardboard and glue. Okay, vamos a ver ahora. Now we need to do the highlights and start giving these things a little bit more life. Or, no, not yet. Let me just rephrase that. Not yet. I need to do some more painting here, because I need to retouch the book, retouch that candle, and retouch all these things. And we need to actually move, because otherwise I've been talking too much today. Okay, let's paint this. Let's paint that. And we'll see how we tackle this light. I'm very curious how it's gonna turn out to be. If it's gonna look the way I want it to be, or if it's gonna be horrible. And some of these bandages, like this one here, I think I'm gonna do some blood there, like it looks like he was wounded. Because I think there is another story that you can tell with this miniature. He is carrying two weapons. He has the light attached very haphazardly, if I may say. This doesn't look like a fixed fixture. It looks like something that you will make with whatever you have left, like some rope or some leather and a couple of sticks together. It looks like something that you just made ad hoc. You didn't have much any other choice. You pull it off, but it is you know what I mean, right? And this guy might be the sole survivor of a party. Thomas Yeoman is saying, I recall. Okay, first Dragon said about Jeanne d'Arc, which is, what was her name? Réponse de Lyonnaise, that was her name. Very cool figure, and it was the first figure that one of the Perry the guy, the Perry twins, they were like super famous sculptors in Warhammer. They made basically the whole Empire vibe, and they made a lot of the Bretonnians, and they are very apt at how do you call those things? Is you know, when you dress up like a soldier and you do things with hello, go for it painting. Thank you. These twins, they will be in these events where you dress up as soldiers and you will be shooting at each other and pretending you have a real battle, okay? And they were manipulating, they were using a cannon, and they were cleaning the cannon. Whenever you shoot something, you put one of those rods with a wet sponge to clean all the embers before you pack some extra powder, and you repeat the process of shooting. But it seems that when he was cleaning the cannon, there was some leftover gunpowder, or he was packing gunpowder and there was still a small spark inside, and this ignited and exploded, and he got one of his arms ripped off him, okay? So that's why he has a prosthetic. And just imagine being one of the main sculptors of Warhammer for the studio, you lost your main hand to do that. And this guy, what he did is, once again, resilience. He didn't give up. He got a prosthetic and he learned to sculpt with the other hands. And Repens of Lyonesse is, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think is the first miniature that he painted after that accident. So a reenactment, thank you. Oh, you're a new subscriber on the channel. Thank you for that. Very. Let me see if did you guys see an animation? Because I know there should be animations. I made the animations when you see a new subscriber or somebody just showing up. Some things should happen, but it seems that it's not happening. Go for it painting. So I'm sorry. Once again, something I need to look up this weekend when I have the time to actually sit down and just break my head against the program. So Repens of Lyonesse, which is Jeanne d'Arc, yeah, the equivalent of that. She was the first miniature sculpted after that accident, if I recall correctly. Okay, very beautiful miniature, and you can tell he had still some limitations because the posture of the horse is very static compared to what they usually did. But that pose with all four legs down, and it seems like the horse is breaking, it's now a very iconic one, and I think Repens of Lyonesse goes for quite a lot of money online on eBay second hand. A very iconic figure from that era of 5th edition Warhammer Fantasy. And I think they still do reenactments. They still do that. They just, I mean, what are you gonna do? Stop doing things because you just lost an arm? No, screw it. I'll go back and I'll do it better next time. Bueno, vamos a ver. Okay, this one I'm gonna paint with also this color, so we got a little bit of that, and I think the handle of the sword here. I'm gonna go with this, ba-bam. And this one, because otherwise it's gonna be a bandage, right? So I'm changing my mind. Quick. I just changed my mind. Let me just do something. I think I'm gonna do something else. Let me rephrase that. This is how you rephrase in painting. You put more water and just get rid of it. Let me rephrase that, okay? Let me rephrase that, because I want bandages. So the bandages are gonna look quite good if I do something right, which is this. I'm gonna get Agrax Earthshade. I'm gonna shake it. I'm gonna paint those bandages with it. A ver, let's see over here. Boom. Let's paint that. Dirty bandages. And then the highlights are gonna do the magic. I hope so. This guy has seen things. He might be the last guy in the party. That's why that lamp is on a stick. That's why he's wielding two weapons. That's why he looks ready to take on whatever is coming his way, because he has no other option. There are no allies, there are no friends anymore. He's the last surviving guy in this party, and he just needs to get out of that dungeon ASAP. He might not have looted anything at all. Maybe this book is the loot. Maybe this thing that he's carrying on the back is what they came in for, and they bit way too much, more than they could chew, and this is the last guy from that party. And he's obviously quite desperate to get out, but being somebody wearing glasses, lost in a dark dungeon, is probably not very pleasant. So, hence why he needs to figure out a way to get out. And that's why he got that stick, a few pieces of string, and he made this. And he probably healed a couple of times through the way out, and that's why he's wearing these bandages. You see, this sleeve is broken. Something happened. So we're gonna emphasize that with this. We're gonna make that look like a bad wound, but he's still holding the sword high, so I guess he's still doing it. Agrax Earthshade is also a fantastic color to darken metals because it gives them the grime. So I have this already, but I'm gonna give it a little bit of grime here. And I'm not painting all over the place here, I'm just giving a little bit. I'm gonna retouch it in here, and also the lamp. I want the lamp to be darkened and the sticks to go along with that as well. And this is where we're gonna start. After this, we're gonna go to that highlight phase. And the highlights then are gonna be glaze. And after we glaze and highlight, we're gonna go through the OSL proper. We're gonna work on that and make him look memorable with a nice light effect. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's rush a little bit the wash. Go for it, painting. Are you painting anything? What are you painting at the moment? I know Beneath the Flagstones is painting his men-at-arms. I'm pretty sure about that. And some of you, I guess you might be painting alone, but let me know what are you doing right now. Thank you for posting some pictures in the YouTube channel. I enjoy seeing those. I promise you, I don't really care much about subscribers or whatnot. That's not the point of Rush the Wash at all. The point of Rush the Wash is sharing our hobby and getting more people to paint miniatures, getting more miniatures on the table, getting more people playing games with fully painted stuff. That makes a big difference in the experience. I still cannot believe that sometimes people, and I respect them, but I still cannot believe that some people will say, yeah, I have this many armies and none of them are painted and I really don't care. Why would you make it detrimental for your experience not to have the minis painted? I promise you, it is way better when everything is painted. It is way better when the table looks amazing. It is way better for everybody involved. You are cooking without salt. We are cooking without spices. You are cooking without all the things that make this game proper. Because otherwise, it's just a rule set. And rule sets, to be honest, on their own, without any fluff, without any story behind them, without, you know, the lore, the things that make them click, they are just not good enough. I mean, chess, okay, I respect chess quite a lot, but if it had proper miniatures and a story attached to them, then it would be a fantastic, immersive game. As good as it is already, just imagine if it had that. I think it was probably the first war game that looked like Warhammer. But paint your minis, guys. Show your minis to everybody. Get feedback, good, bad, learn from it, and move on and keep painting. Keep on painting, okay? And those people who say that they don't like painting, I think they are somewhat wrong. It's not that they don't like painting, it's that they never found a way to paint in a way that they like. I promise you, there are ways where you're gonna enjoy doing this. Mine in particular is, for me, super enjoyable because, as I said, I can finish things and I can get them and see them next day. Always so much fun to see your miniatures painted next day. After you go to sleep and you say, yeah, I'm done, you know? You go, wake up, make your coffee, go check the miniature, take a picture of it, go home, go to work, and then go back home and you say, okay, let's do something else today. And in a few days, you go from nothing to a lot of miniatures painted. And when you get a lot of miniatures painted and you start playing with them, you go from something that was just rolling dice and moving pieces in a grid to telling stories. The telling of stories is very, 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 very different when you have your miniatures painted. Very different, okay? A ver, now that we have all of these sorted out, it is time to highlight. Dirty highlights. My highlights. The AK interactive face. I don't want to touch the white area with this because it's gonna confuse your head. If you paint with ice yellow in the white areas, it's gonna make it look weird. And I'm gonna prove my point right now, okay? I'm gonna do this on purpose. Look at this area. The transition is strange because you're going from a dark blue to a yellowish to then white. Let me just reduce a few f-stops on this so you can see it. It looks like a fried egg. I don't want that. I want a transition that is more subtle. So that's not gonna go touch there. I'm gonna touch only in here on the yellow areas and the flesh and the leather. And as yesterday we were doing that, we're gonna try to figure out where is the highlight happening, and this is where I want it to be. And then also the margins, so I can make the volumes more readable. But I cannot go way too over it, like I cannot go overboard, because otherwise the OSL is gonna be detrimental. I want just to be careful. Very subtle here. This is gonna be retouched later. Okay, the leather. Let's make it look old, age. Simplest way of doing that is getting your brush quite sharp right here and doing some edge highlights that look jagged like that. See? When we're gonna do that, it's gonna make the texture look like it has been scratched, damage, etc. The Fair Weatherman. Hello, painting question. I've gotten in the habit of priming in black and dry brushing white before I start painting. Yes, that's the slap chop approach. What's your thought process around this technique versus priming in white? Well, with that technique of yours, you're gonna achieve a similar result, but you're gonna get something else as well. You're gonna get a dustier effect because anything that is dry brushed, you don't have control of where the highlights go, because the brush is gonna do things that you don't want it to do. So, and also the transitions are gonna be a little bit iffy. They work quite well for certain factions, to be honest, okay? You do Undead, it works well. You do Chaos, Nurgle in particular, it works well. You do other things that are a little bit cleaner, like High Elves, Eldar, Tau in some cases, then you start to lean into the grim dark of things, because that creates texture, and the texture is gonna say age, and the age is telling you the story that that thing is not new. And by not being new and being used and being damaged, you are leaning into the grim dark. Now, if you like grim dark, of course, go ahead, fantastic choice of painting. But me personally, I like painting in a more Middle Hammer way, in something that is more classic miniature painting, but with a different technique. This is why I'm so careful when I do the highlights, even though, okay, not careful, careful is not the good word for it. This is why I'm so methodical when I'm doing highlights, because I want them to be placed in a particular way, and then I'm gonna screw up, like I do all the time, okay, but it's a screw up with an intention. What is going to happen if you do a slap chop is that if you do it per se with the dry brush method, it's gonna look a little bit more gritty. If you do it like I do it with zenithal highlights and whatnot, you have the option of being a little bit more clean. And that's why you will see people like El Miniaturista that paints a lot of miniatures, and he paints them quite fast, doing those highlights with the airbrush and then glazing over them, because they look cleaner. And cleaner works very good for things like OSL, which is something that he does fantastically well. So my opinion is it works. It works very well, and you can use it consistently. And if you get very good at dry brushing, like on Opus Art, I think is the channel, you can get very, very clean things. But it also is a technique that it has its quirks. So if you need to practice until you get good at it to get very clean effects. But if you don't really mind about having those clean effects and whatnot, then it's super fast, I promise you. You could paint the shadow of this figure on the floor beneath him. Yes, that's gonna happen. That is gonna happen. Once we paint the base we're gonna paint as usual, but then we're gonna use Drakenhof Nightshade to paint the shadow. It has to happen, because otherwise it's gonna be weird. Now the shadow is gonna come this way. See, the lamp is right here. It's gonna go through him, and it's gonna go that way. The angle is quite steep, so most of the shadow is gonna be behind him and underneath him and almost outside of the base. Let's do this. This is the knife thingy. Okay. Hey, Gabriele, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás, Gabriele? Here is Magic Dice Manufacturing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a nice welcome, because this guy is the tits. There we go. All for you. Vamos a darte. There we go. This is Gabriele. He's the one who sent all these minis to me, who sent all these dungeons to me, who has a fantastic YouTube channel. If you want to make your own dungeons, like and you like crafts, this is the channel that you have to go check out, because this guy has made the best looking dungeons, the best handcrafted dungeons ever, and he makes so many of them. If I wish I ever visit him, okay, if I ever visit him, I wish he pulls them out and just we play something, because those dungeons look freaking amazing. So go check his channel, Magic Dice Manufacturing, and he also makes them on command. I don't know if I'm getting you in a little bit of trouble, but he makes handmade dungeons for like Warhammer Quest, for instance. He makes the whole set, but I don't know if he's doing it anymore, so let us know in the comments there, Gabriele, if you're looking for picking up some new orders or whatnot. Tutto bene, amico mio. I don't know come si dice, mio amico, il mio amico. And he's Italian, which me as a Spaniard and Italian, that's it. That's a brother already. So he's got the brother pass. So fantastico. He hooked me up with so many miniatures, man. All of these miniatures are sent by him. I say, hey, Gabriele, you know, maybe I'm doing something for Kraken, but I don't have access to a printer. Do you know anybody that's got it? Say, say no more. I'm gonna send you some dungeon pieces. And he sent me 4 kilos of dungeon pieces plus miniatures. He said, I'm gonna add something like a small, you know, like a small gift. The small gift turned out to be several painting sessions of fun. So yeah, he's a fantastic guy. So there you go. Maybe Dungeon Tales, of course. By the way, he has his own rulebook, Dungeon Tales. I don't know if links work, mate. So I don't know if you can paste links or if YouTube is gonna kick you out, because Frank told me yesterday that he was trying to show some of the links of the miniatures that he's crafting, and nothing came up in the chat. So maybe don't risk it. Okay. I think I'm gonna put a post later with where you can find his stuff. Some stuff about Dungeon Tales, so be on the lookout for that on the channel, so you guys can find about he's such a creative dude. I mean, like, really. And if you like all the cool dungeon crawlings and things like that, there is another rule book that's his rule book, so you don't need to go to Hero Quest or Advanced Hero Quest or Warhammer Quest even. He's making his own rules and they look absolutely amazing, so something to check out. Honestly, very cool stuff. Oh my god, why, Frank? Let me see. Okay, let me see, because I still cannot post to the chat. I see you. Do you guys see Frank? Secret Sauce H9M, the user right now. Can you guys see it? I see you. I just see you right now. Okay. Thank you, the fair weatherman, for subbing to Magic Dice Manufacturing. Okay, and say no problems. If there is some interest in DT Dungeon Tales, they can easily find some infos on my pages, of course. But I will post also on my YouTube page, and let's get. Say Secret Sauce says I had to log in on another account. Are you banned? What is happening here? Like, how do I know? Moderation activity participants. No idea. I have zero idea of what is going on there. I need to community moderation. This is something else. I don't know. I need to fix that somehow, but I don't know how to fix it right now. So your Frank account is blocked. I don't know. If it was blocked, it was not me. It is something from YouTube or whatever. YouTube doesn't like external links, so because what they want to do is to keep as much traffic as possible in the website, in here. So that's probably the biggest issue. If you share something and they just said, oh, this guy is spamming, okay, well, out. But I don't know how or why did that happen. Ni idea. So I need to see if I can unblock you. And if I can unblock you, I will do it straight away as soon as I find out if it's the case or why not. I'm sorry about that, man. No. That is, of course, it's not me. Anything that you guys create, miniatures, dungeons, rule books, and things like that, I'm more than happy to share those in here. Because there are so many creative people out there, and if you're doing something that is cool, it's worth making it public so people can see what is going on. Okay? You never know. You might be the next big thing. It's difficult nowadays. It is difficult because there is, yes, too much stuff. And of course, the longer that something has been on the market, the more difficult it is going to be to get it removed. I don't think Warhammer is going anywhere anytime soon. No matter how many rulebooks we get, no matter how many miniatures we create, 3D printing or whatever, they are not going anywhere because their IP is fundamentally the cornerstone of, you know, Warhammer is the cornerstone of fantasy and sci-fi miniature games. You have other games, but Warhammer is it. Okay, no other game has their own stores all over the place. No other game has so many videos dedicated to them, so many things published along the years. The only thing that comes close to them, and is a different beast altogether, is Dungeons and Dragons. That's it. Those two are untouchable. Those two. Look, for instance, Pathfinder. Pathfinder is a fantastic game, okay? And they have done a superb job on creating their own rulebooks and whatnot. But still, it lives under that shadow. It still does. It's Dungeons and Dragons, man. Everybody knows Dungeons and Dragons. It's been there since the 70s. It had the bad publicity, the good publicity, movies dedicated to it for better or worse. It's just part of pop culture. It cannot go away. You have to make a paradigm shift in the whole culture of Western civilization and beyond to get these things out of the way. So that's it. So YouTube has no love for links in comments as far as I know. There you go. There you go. So I think that's the problem. I think we're getting to the point where we are actually understanding the problem. So, all right, now here, very obviously, Miguel, you need to highlight this. Sorry, guys, let me just get it on camera, because this is where the light is gonna come. Okay, let me see if I can see. I need to get it closer to my glasses. There we are. Yeah. YouTube in general doesn't like external links, and I think one of the problems that I have with my descriptions is that sometimes I put affiliate links to Amazon and it might not like it, and I think that's why some of my videos sometimes are not pushed, or maybe it's just that my videos suck, you never know. But I suspect that by trying to go through affiliate links and things like that, like Amazon, although it doesn't cost any money for anybody to buy anything on Amazon and just give some commission to the guy who's advertising the items. That's quite a funny thing. It's like if you buy anything from any link that you click on, anything, when I mean anything is, yeah, you might look at my Vortex mixer and then you end up not liking it, but you buy something else on the website, then I get a commission. So of course it sounds like a very good deal for me, but then I don't think that YouTube actually likes those links, and by not liking those links is not pushing the videos, and by not pushing the videos, therefore my audience is not great. So I might reconsider putting those anymore, and then updating all of my social media, all of the different videos descriptions, and just getting rid of those, because I don't know if it's actually working for me. Okay, how is it starting to look? I think it's starting to have the personality that I want it to have. Okay, it's starting to get somewhere close to it, and now is where, as I said, this is the meh face. We know that face, we recognize the face, and now we're gonna make it go away. And to make it go away, we need to start working on certain things. So first things first, this needs to be the light color that I want it to be. And for that I need to create the blue that I'm looking for. I need to make sure that the blue that I'm looking for is going to look the way I want it to look. And for that, I'm gonna use Archaic Turquoise, which is one of the starter set paints. Okay, we have, I think I said 12 paints. Is it 12 paints on that thing? I don't know, quite a lot of paints. I think it's 12. And this is one of those colors that you say, well, what am I gonna use that for? I don't paint, you know, I don't paint sea, water, I don't paint lizardmen, I don't paint many things like that. This is the color, that one. You just need a little bit of imagination. This thing, watered down, is almost Ethermatic Blue. Ethermatic Blue is a very useful wash from contrast range, because you can use it for magical effects. You can put it on metals to make them look like very interesting steel, or you can make it for like the eyes of zombies or things like that to make them look more unnatural, more unnerving. But first things first, let's paint this inside here. I water it down quite a lot. Okay, so let's go and push it down in each one of these boxes so we get that white highlight there. But I'm gonna have to go back to it and make it even stronger. But as of now, this is what we're doing. Just putting that there. Vamos a ver cómo queda. Just putting that there. And then, now that I have this, I'm gonna go and glaze that. Glaze it. Now we need to be careful, but purpose we have to have a purpose here. We have to be not staining it, but have to be careful here. All right, we have already that area, and now we need to go here. Okay, and now the face. Let's go and get rid. What we don't want is that decanting way too much anywhere, because otherwise it's gonna darken, and we don't want darken, we just want the hue. We just want the hue. That bluish hue covering everything. But if it decants, then it becomes a wash. And if it washes, it makes shadows. And we don't want shadows in here, man. We just want the blue hue that is saying, ooh, light is coming from somewhere. When is too much? Well, we need to be careful and deliberate, as I said. Push those. And if you see that is going way too much somewhere, start getting rid of it. Okay, where else will we get light from this guy? We're gonna put some in here. Put some in here. And be very careful, because as you can see, if I don't carefully remove the paint from some areas, is gonna make it look very strange. We don't want those deposits. Focus, please. Thank you, camera. We don't want those deposits. I'm gonna reduce my f-stop so you can see the thingy properly. Like that. It's getting the hue that I want it to be. Here is gonna be a little bit greenish because this is blue and it's gonna be painting on top of yellow, and that filter is gonna make it look a little bit greenish. Just a tad in here. Okay. Let's see if it works. More here, see? Now that it dries, it's not as dramatic. So I need to go back to it, get the pigment, water it down, test it against the skin, make sure that it's not too much. Me gusta, I like that. And go back in some places. Go back in some places, like here. And if I feel that I'm putting too much, put some more water and start dragging it. So we feather that into the fabric and into the areas that we want it to feather. Looking at everything from that perspective, you see? Here is pulling. You're not gonna pull. I'm not gonna allow you to pull there. Sorry, that's not the plan. The plan is you just give me that little hint of blue. Thank you. Not pulling, right? It's not gonna happen. Here, yes, a little bit. So more water and very deliberate, very careful. Just get that hue. Also here. It's too much. Well, if it's too much, not a problem. We just get and drag some water on it and start wiping it off as we see fit. There you go. This dagger, I want some more blue on it. I want some blue here too. Just a little bit, just to get that light hitting on it. I know that light is gonna be hitting on it by reflecting on other surfaces, by doing things to the rest of the miniature, the rest of the persona here. So you start to see that hue, okay? Now that you probably can see it better, you start to see that it's telling you that this thing is right and this thing is moving places. But the thing that is gonna make the big difference after we do this is how we shade around that. How we create that contrast around that bluish, eerie light that he's carrying. Okay, a little bit, and maybe just a little bit here. Okay. Good evening, David. Bonne soirée. Please rest up. Have a nice evening, and hope to see you on the next one. Okay, let's see. Bon, I'm liking it. The base should also be painted like this, so I'm gonna risk it all and then we'll see how we fix certain things. So the light is coming from here and we're gonna do that in here and see, because I should have painted this before, but I think I have a trick under my sleeve. Let's see. This is how the color looks like, actually. You see? That's how the color looks like. But the way that I see is we're gonna need to do some more extra work on the base. But now I'm just sketching where it's gonna be hitting. And here there should be a shadow from the knife. And here, maybe you can see some over here, like that. And this is the shadow of the guy. Oh, crap, sorry, I'm not showing that. This is where the shadow of the guy is gonna be at. Let's see if I can pull it off. some reflection from the ground, and here. And some here as well. Okay, bueno. Now that that is done, I'm gonna start shading. Drakenhof Nightshade to the rescue. Vamos allá. Drakenhof Nightshade to the rescue here. And this is not focusing, is it? Vamos, ponte. Okay, here we are. Let's go to the Drakenhof Nightshade shading. Very subtle, very careful, very methodical. Here, in the back of this arm. Which is gonna go here. And it's gonna go here and here. This is important because I know the light is gonna hit this stick and it's gonna create a very drastic shade on it. This has already been done before. Come on, camera. And it's just now retouching it a little bit. And what I would usually do is, you know, this will have some brown on top, but now I want those highlights to be painted with Drakenhof Nightshade. So they tell us the story that yes, there is some highlight going on there. It's telling me the volumes of the things. They are not just a blob, but because they are in the shady area, we're gonna paint it with a shady paint. This real slim shady paint. Bam, bam. Pam 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 pam. Okay. Here we need to be a little bit more exaggerated because this is super under and behind the light. And here as well, I need to be methodical, as I said. Okay. Vale. Okay. Here, which I can tell that it will not be hit by the light. It has a little bit of reflection though, but it will not be hit by the light. And I need to focus again. And there we are. Some of it here. So now it's just finding which places are gonna be dark, which places should be not dark. And now let's do this. I'm painting only against, you see where the shadows might be. And then we're creating the texture. My gosh, this camera today is just sucking butt. And then we're gonna create more texture by adding a little bit of extra shading with something else. And a little bit of highlights. But as it is, this is the beginning right now. More things need to happen. Okay. And here, obviously, under the hand. Okay. And there. Let me just give it a look, 360, to see what's going on, if we are getting somewhere. If we are getting to the point where I want to get. The Drakenhof Nightshade is already doing its magic. Most of the heavy lifting here on shading. A ver. Let me just zoom out a little bit because I think the camera is having a difficult time tracking it. Or maybe it's zooming in, the problem. Let's see. Let's take a look. Yeah, the camera is too close. Let me just get it farther away so we can see with a little bit more distance. Buonanotte, buonanotte. Buonanotte, amico. Okay, vamos a ver. So here we are. This guy is looking like this. Now, we are going to need some white here. This needs to be white in the inside, so it tells you the story that the light is coming from inside of it. The base obviously needs a little bit of extra work. And let me see, what else do we need? This is the shady area. You can tell because it has more shade than the other side of it. And I'm gonna give it a couple of very subtle white highlights in some areas, like that's where it's actually reflecting from. So that's where we're gonna go now, with the pure white highlights. And the source light as well is gonna benefit from this. So this is white paint, you know, okay? White paint. Let's get some of it. And let's go here. And okay, where is the light coming from? Well, obviously it's coming from the lamp, and usually the flame will be a little higher and in the middle. Each one of these. And I should have also, I think I should have done that. I'll do it next. There. If you have an airbrush, this is way easier. If your airbrush is any good, you can go there and just give it that, you know, a little bit of pure white in here, just a tad bit of it, and it's gonna do the source light much easier to manage. Okay, where do we get reflections? Probably the glasses. Probably you're gonna get a small reflection on them. And here. A little bit of white here as well. I'm gonna just drag it down like this. Let's see what else. Un poco aquí. Here a little bit as well. Careful, Miguel, don't overdo it. Okay, let me do the beard one more now that it's right. And the mustache. And being very careful with this now. I don't want to screw it up because I'm okay. I'm happy with how it's starting to look. What about here? And some in here, like a little bit, just a little bit, to get that to show as a volume. Just a little bit. OSL, fun stuff to paint, but difficult sometimes. Okay, let me see. How does it look, guys? Are you liking it? Is it selling? Or is it still needs a little bit more work in some places? Like for instance, let me just do this. For instance, we are gonna need a little bit, just a little bit here, right here, where the lamp should be hitting it. But this is such a difficult place to reach, and I just don't want to screw it. Okay, one here, this one. Alright, I think I'm not gonna touch much more on him. And let me see what else can be appreciated as. I don't know what this thing is. Honestly, I thought it was a candle, but the more I look at it, the less like a candle it looks like. So I'm gonna leave it like that, like whatever it might be. And don't touch it. Don't touch it. Okay, now the problem is the base as it is. Okay, let's do some. Then we need to do some washes on it so we get all the colors the same. So highlights. These are rocks. This base is not gonna have lichen or anything of the like. We're gonna try to stick only to what it has now, which is all these rocks and the highlights. And my theory here is if I do the wash now with Agrax Earthshade, it's gonna put all the colors more or less in the same area. Let me just see. Okay, and if it puts all the colors in the same area, in the same type of tone, it's gonna make it look like a base. And if it doesn't work, I need to do a little bit more of retouching with the blue, and then with maybe some black, rather to go on that very dark shadow. So let's see how it actually works. Okay, let's normalize all the colors with just this brown wash. That is gonna look awful right now, but when it dries, maybe I can do something about it. I should have painted the base first, by the way, but maybe it will work. If it doesn't work, we'll fix it. I'm not sweating it up too much. And then once this is doing that, I'm gonna rest a little bit, drink some water. And I said I wanted to paint some. I'm actually touching up things with brown as well, so we get that reflection. I think it works. And then I'm gonna, what was I going to do? I said something and I forgot. God dang it. Yeah, we need to discuss about what is next on the channel. Yes, that's one thing. And I said I was going to paint some blood somewhere in these things, so I have to be very careful with that so I don't overdo it, but it needs to be like it has been blood stained. Okay, this is also shady, this is shady. Yes, and I'm gonna put some more shade here. This is Agrax Earthshade right now, just to add some more depth and more dirtiness in some areas. I'm just playing with washes, that's all I do, just trying to find the way that I want them to look. Okay, but this needs to dry so it gives me the proper information about how it actually will look, so then I can touch up and whatnot. Something tells me that I might need to touch up quite a bit. Anyways, what miniature should I be painting tomorrow? Oh my god, my arms. What do you guys think? What should I paint? What options do we have? Now, first of all, tell me, dungeon or 40k? Fantasy or sci-fi? One of those. Just give me two options here, please. Just give me one of those two options, not two options. Which one should I be painting tomorrow? What do you guys think? I only have 4 of you watching. Everybody else, I think I went to bed. Or maybe you're just listening and you're not paying attention to this. Let me Yes, move here. 40k. Oh my gosh. What do we have here? 40k. Okay, if it's 40k, I have two options, and I think I'm gonna do. But I need to glue them. Okay, just to mix it up. Okay, fine. 40k. 40k is a good choice. Actually, it's gonna. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It will mix it up. It will give me something a little bit different to paint, because it's okay to change things every now and then. Let me just do this. I forgot to do this. 40k. Okay. Maybe not paint, because I need to build the models so we can see how the model is. And it's not just the model, it's something about the model, where it comes. Because that's quite an interesting thing about that model. Okay, fantasy through and through. Beneath the flagstones, obviously, is a fantasy guy, we can tell. You still have those ultramarines from Space Crusade. Yes, in Spain. And I'm like 3,000 kilometers away of them. And they are one of the projects that is gonna get painted this summer. Don't let me leave Spain without painting them, please. Okay, it's gotten to a point of ridiculousness, because it's the only thing that I have left to have the game fully painted. And come on, guys, it's time, right? Isn't it? It's kind of time already to do that. So yeah, I need to. But what I can do, if you guys tell me to paint 40k, what is going to happen is that I actually gonna paint an ultramarine. Now, what ultramarine is this and where it comes from is the most interesting part of the miniature, by far. By far. And I still need to build him, but I want to show you where it comes. So tomorrow's stream is gonna be probably building him and discussing a little bit about where it comes and what it's some things are weird sometimes. It's like, honestly, I don't want to give you any spoilers because it's interesting. I don't know if it's such a common thing that I just never saw it before, and it's, yeah, Miguel, that's all news, but for me it was like, whoa, what is this? So okay, let's do what I wanted to do here. So this is, the base is not working as intended yet, so I need it to dry so I can get back to it. The rest of the miniature, I'm okay with it. I'm just gonna put some more extra white on the lamp so we get the proper flaring thing, but most of it is actually done. Actually, okay, as a display miniature it works quite okay. As a gaming one, it's a little bit too, well, we're gonna compare it to another one. I think it's a little bit too OSL, but I think it will work anyways. And as a story to be told with this miniature, there are so many options here, because once again, it's interesting, the features that the sculptor of these miniatures put on them, they force you to try to understand the story. It's not random stuff, it's random stuff with a meaning. Okay, there is no, what is going on here? Once again, why is he carrying the lamp like that? Why does he have all these bandages? Why a book on the back which is tied? So obviously he's not using this book. This book is there because he picked it up and it's just there. Maybe he killed his colleagues and he's running away with the most valuable stuff, which in this case will be probably the magician's book. Maybe he was looting a tomb where there was a grimoire, and he is either a solo guy or the other people in his party got terribly wounded and died, or maybe he just abandoned them in the dark. So the story here is interesting. You can come up with a lot of stuff here. Maybe he's a random encounter in the dungeon. He's somebody that you meet in the dungeon and you have to decide if you're gonna attack or if he's gonna be a safe bet for hanging out for, you know, a little while with him. I hope he is. Well, I don't know. He's saying that I might get a divorce if I paint miniatures all night, but I don't know about his miss, man, with such a huge board. Is she okay with it? Is she like admiring it, or just saying, okay, fine, whatever, you do that. I'm gonna go play bridge with the ladies, you know. Whilst this is drying, I'm touching up things because I just cannot help it. And yes, the masochist for touching up things. Come on, dry faster. Actually, you know, once it starts to dry, I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it. Let me just try to... Let's see if I can make it a little bit more lively. Mix it with the Drakenhof Nightshade. Not the Drakenhof Nightshade, with the Agrax. Just give it an off-white color. Just repurpose this. I still haven't finished painting my Dragon's Rest War that I printed 6 years ago. Well, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? You always get very... I think you always get too busy with a lot of projects, don't you? But who am I to say that to a fellow hobbyist when I do basically the same? How am I gonna blame you on doing something that I do? What is the point of doing that? Okay, so it's like, yeah, I'm gonna shut up now before I say more things. See, I always get sidetracked. Yeah, I know, but you get sidetracked on cool stuff. Did you finish the 15 mil Warhammer quest that you were making with miniatures and whatnot? Because I don't remember you finished. I remember seeing Snotley's painted, I remember seeing Skavens, I remember seeing a lot of stuff, but I don't know if you actually finished it. Yeah, is ADHD? I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea. I have kids with ADHD and they are like... they don't have the focus to actually do some of the things you do. But maybe, I don't know. A ver. So I'll post pics. Please do so. I want to see them on the channel. If you have anything finished, everything that is cool, anything that is like, I want kicks in the butt, you know. That's the kind of content that I like. I like seeing things I say, I can do that. I should be doing that actually. And beneath the flagstones, I am slowly moving on to ADHQ, Advanced Hero Quest, and collecting all the minis for the base game and the expansions. Okay, how much money are we talking about here? Like, you know, on the ballpark, nothing concrete. How much money are we talking about in miniatures, in second-hand miniatures that have been off, not for sale for decades now? Wow, decades. No, we're not talking about like, you know, it's 2 years ago that they were selling these. No, we're talking about 30 years ago. So how much money do you think you're gonna spend on this thing? How much money have you spent only on the miniatures? I'm not talking about anything else, just the miniatures, the ones that you're tracking. Because I think if I'm not mistaken, that you were painting the metal alternative heroes, the ones that were basically the prototypes. Am I tripping, or is it you? I have ADHD too, so I can hyper focus on things, but if something new and shiny shows up, all bets are off. Okay, there you go. I have some of I think, okay, I cannot say this for sure, but I think I have a kid who is ADHD, and whenever you give him the proper task to do, he does it very fast, very efficiently, very well. But as soon as he finishes that, if there is somebody talking or somebody playing or somebody doing something interesting, that's it. You need to find something interesting for him to do, and you need to find it pronto, like super pronto. Otherwise, that's it, he's gone. You need to be on top of him all the time. But he's super bright, so I think it's a trade-off. I think there was this theory that said that people with ADHD, let me see what if I remember exactly what it was. There were the people that you needed for certain things in the tribe. I'm not really sure what it was. It was like the guys who will be alert at all times. They will figure out things very quickly, because their attention span is moving so fast from one thing to another that will say, hey, there is this thing is happening here. It's like an interesting theory. I don't know how true it is, but it's an interesting theory. Maybe by painting the borders black we are fixing this space. Let me see, maybe I'm gonna risk it and do a dry brush with very little white to give it a chalky appearance. Maybe. But first things first, I want to paint the borders, because by painting the borders I get two things. I get the almost finished, you know, high, and also the okay, against the black background it looks different. Now it's telling me a different story. So let's see, go down there without breaking. Thank you. Perfecto. What do you guys think? Is it selling it, or do we need a slightly bit more of blue or white in some areas? I think I'm gonna risk it and just put a little bit of white in some stones. Okay, Thomas, I also, oh wow, I also have ADHD. I recently started taking meds, and it's the only reason I am actually able to focus on painting and my various hobbies again after years. Literally changed my life. Wow. Guys, you're making me want to check myself, because I do jump a lot from one thing to another, but I do spend quite a bit on old minis, but I am also selling off an old video game collection, which is essentially funding my hobby. Maybe more contrast. Yes, that's what I think as well. But it's very interesting that, well, you guys are not, you know, because the new generation, these new kids, there are a lot of cases nowadays. For us educators, we are finding it more challenging. Now, I do not know if it's because it's easier to diagnose nowadays, or we are more aware that this thing exists, and people who we will be called, ¿cómo se dice? Naughty. You know, back in the day, the teachers will say, well, your son is a little bit naughty. He's all over the place and he's always playing with other friends and talking and whatnot. What was called naughty back in the day, maybe it was ADHD and we were not diagnosing, or nowadays we have something going on that is making more kids ADHD. I'm not really sure, but seeing you guys who are my age, I'm pretty sure both of you, or slightly younger, slightly older, and talking about this is making me think, okay, maybe I should check on me. But I actually, I don't know. I'm okay most of the time, I guess, or I just learned how to cope with having several interests and just jumping from there. At work, I'm the same. I have projects, and then I do this project, and I've almost finished it, and then jump to the next one. So I'm quite productive at work because of that, because I have this hyper focus, and then boom, jump to another thing, and hyper focus, and boom, jump to another thing, and I get a lot of things done because I do that. It's like I can talk to you all day, but if you see me focusing on something, I think it's a little bit scary, because my persona changes absolutely. I go from this guy who's always cracking jokes and telling anecdotes and being friendly with everybody, to that guy who's not basically talking to anybody. He looks very strange in that corner. You know what I mean? What is he been doing there? So, a ver, let me see. Today we had a new BJJ student, and the coach was afraid that kid could become a killer. He has ADHD. Okay. Why? Was he like super energetic, or what was happening? Is it a younger student or an older student? And I wasn't diagnosed until a few years ago. What made you go and diagnose? What made you go to the doctor and check? Because that's what is like maybe making me ask myself if it's something that I should do or not. What did that for you? A ver. I'm glazing over that white and trying to get to the point where I feel comfortable with the base. Let's see if it works. And then, what else do you guys say? I think lots of people have it and learn to deal with it. I managed fine, but I ended up just feeling tired all the time, and it was eating up all my time. I don't know if that's my case then. I'm tired all the time, but I know why. It's because I go to work and then I go to the gym and then I paint miniatures. that's why. That's why. But I don't know. How did you guys do it? Did you go to a psychologist, or how did you get diagnosed? Did your significant other told you, hey, you probably need to go check this out? Or did somebody tell you? Did somebody at work notice something and they told you, I have somebody that has this, you might want to go and check it out? That's super interesting. Super interesting. For me in particular, because my profession has to deal with it quite a lot. And it's very different when you're an adult. When you're an adult, you have been... Yes, you said it right. When you are an adult, you can mask it, or you can just work in society, or just avoid being in society sometimes, I guess, when it's just too tiring and things like that. But when you're a child, there is no exit for you. We just need, first of all, to figure out if you have that, or if there is something else going on. And I need to figure out if I can help you, who has to help you in the school, how do we tell it to your parents so they can figure out how to help you as well, etc, etc, etc. You know what I mean? Okay. My kids were diagnosed and I was struggling to hold my temper, so I went to their doctor and she said, yeah, you are ADHD. Oh my god. Interesting. So it has helped you, the diagnosis has helped you to actually recognize what is going on and to do something about it, right? Super interesting stuff. How many... do you think this hobby attracts certain kinds of people in that sense? Because I noticed that most people that I play with are quite, normal, in the sense that you wouldn't say that they have anything, but some of them that I have played with, you can totally tell that they have some quirks that are very specific, and they are quirky in a sense that is, you have all these friends that are like completely run of the mill, that you just cannot tell differences between them. They basically have the same hobbies, they basically have same types of conversations, and then it's the nerds, the ones that have a hyper focus on something, and they pass as absolutely regular people in many cases. But once you open that kind of worms, like, hey, you like Warhammer, and it's like something switches and they tell you all about that, all of it, because they just found the person to talk about it. And as you can see, I can talk about Warhammer quite a lot, and more so if I'm with the right people. But if somebody at work asks me about it, it's like, yeah, I paint miniatures, and I don't just don't go into way too deep into it, because I think I learned over the years that most people say, holy shit, why are you talking so much about this? So I guess I learned how to read the room on that regard. All right. So yes, it was probably easier to cope before the internet and phones. The hobby definitely attracts smart and creative people. I think so. I mean, okay, I don't want to sound chauvinistic on this, because all hobbies have their quirks, okay? But this one actually requires you to read a lot. And if you don't like reading, you're not gonna like Warhammer or the lore or any of the things attached to it, because it's reading a lot. But if you like reading, if you like fantasy, if you like painting toys, because these are, okay, let's be honest, they are toys, okay? They are toys in all the senses of the word. If you like those things, it's like you have a particular type of persona that is, you know what I mean? I don't want to sound offensive, because I'm part of the community, but it's like, yeah, you definitely are gonna like Warhammer. You can tell. You can tell some people, it's like, you probably play Warhammer, you probably play Magic the Gathering, you probably play Dungeons and Dragons, you probably play one of these types of games that have this specific type of collectible incentive that you find super appealing for whatever reason. And that's the way it is. So yeah, reading is a gateway for sure, man. Reading, if you read fantasy stories and then all of a sudden you find this. When I found out about Warhammer, okay, after reading Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit and whatnot, and I found about this, and remember, it's the 90s. You're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you're playing video games such as, I don't know, Golden Axe or things like that, and then all of a sudden you find out, wait, you're telling me there are soldiers and you paint them and they are about this story, so I can imagine the story, like I'm talking about this guy, I'm imagining the story behind this guy, and that's something, that's a thing, and there are people doing that, and I can't do that. Are you freaking kidding me? Of course I'm gonna get into it. Of course I'm gonna get into it. There is no discussion if I'm gonna get into it. So, okay, ironically, I have worked with neurodivergent and special needs learners for years, and I still didn't think there was anything wrong with me as such. There's nothing wrong. It's just your brain works in a different manner. I think there are a lot of educators that have ADHD as typically they get on well with young people as they have the energy and keep things interesting and engaging. Yes, we are a special brand as well. And you can see it in certain professions. I think teaching is one of them. I think engineering is another one of them. Computer engineering. We don't need to talk about that. I think everybody notices that. Okay, I can tell you, there is a huge guy at the gym where I go at, and I don't know why, we just clicked, you know, we just look at each other and we started talking just like that, and I said, what do you do for a living? And he said, yeah, you know, I'm a computer engineer. And I was like, why am I even asking? I can tell you work in this domain. It's just one of those things. Like, it's the way that you process thought and you organize things hierarchically, and you can understand language in a way that you can talk to a computer, you know. And many people cannot do that. Many people. That's why AI for some people is so frustrating. For me, it's fantastic because I know exactly how to speak to the AI to do the things I wanted to do the way I wanted to do it. But for other people, it's like, mine is not doing that. Yeah, because you're not speaking in a way that makes sense for anything listening to you. I don't know if do you understand what I'm trying to say? You are not being specific on the instructions on how you want things to be done by the AI, and therefore the AI is doing what it thinks that you want, but it doesn't understand what you want. Because putting your feelings on words is a lot of work. So, anyways, okay. Many of us older gamers had no other option but to read in order to satisfy the interest in fantasy. Absolutely. I wonder if it's harder for the kids of today since they have an embarrassment of riches in media. I don't know, man. I don't know. Using AI is like being an art director or a movie director. Exactly that. You have. I see it in my head what I want. It's like painting the miniature. I know what is going to happen before it happens. When I draw something, I know how it's going to look before it looks like the way it looks. I might be closer or farther away from it because of my technique. I'm not technically capable of doing things sometimes, but I know how it looks like before it happens. So that's why it's easy for me when I prompt ChatGPT to say, hey, I want this, and it does it. Fantastic. But before it did it, it took me months of prompting and going back and forth until it just understood, okay, you are freaking Miguel, you want this. And it applies to everything that I do with it. So anyways, well, it's going to be late. It's 12:30 here p.m. I need to wake up to go to work, and I would love to be talking with you guys for the whole night. I promise you, about all these things, because I'm super passionate about so many things. Anyways, but there you go. This is the finished miniature. Let me close in. Okay, so you guys can get a look at it. Ta-ta! OSL, the guy with a story to be told about why is he carrying a lamp over there. Bluish light, so we can paint that Solent, that uniform that the Empire doesn't wear anymore because that province is gone. And who is this guy? Glasses, certain experience, wearing an old uniform, brandishing two weapons, and a lamp. I didn't paint the blood stains. I think it's okay. It will just look like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream today. We are gonna see each other tomorrow. I'm gonna build that miniature that I was talking about today, and that is gonna take basically the whole stream because I know how I am. I need to file it up and we can discuss about those things. But thank you for being there. Remember, my name is Miguel. This has been Rush the Wash, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Un beso y adiós.